I was literally like about to post this video when I realized I never filmed an intro for it, so here we are. Hi, it's Jessi. Today I'm drinking off black teas. It's all peachy, which doesn't actually have any peach in it, and apparently feels like getting some sun on the float. It's got green tea and some different fruit flavors in it. It's not bad, but there's something in there I'm not quite liking. Maybe the rose hip. Regardless, I am also, tea aside, and the link for Sip to Buy if you're interested in the description if you want monthly tea. But all of that aside, I am reading some of BookTube's favorite books from 2022. Or 2021, it is now 2022. This is not new or original, lots of BookTubers do this. Books and Lala does it every year. I thought maybe I had a unique format for this. Check out my video where I found out the favorite books of BookTube for 2021. But I think Riley Marie recently posted a video that was very similar to this exact thing, where she made a spreadsheet and watched a million videos. So guess I'm not that ahead of the curve. I would be if I could read and post faster. Anyway, enjoy the vlog. Not me desperately trying to figure out how to get book covers in the shot when don't physically have the book. People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I kind of love this. I did not expect to, by any means. Here's where I admit, right, that the conceit of this video was that I was going to be edgy and cool and contrarian, and I would read a bunch of BookTube favorites and hate them all. I still think there's time for that, but I didn't hate this. I liked it kind of a lot. Like, I really liked it. There were some problems, and it wasn't perfect by any means. There were kind of two categories of problems. There are problems that these are specific Jessi issues that probably wouldn't affect most people, but affect me because I'm a mess. There were some things like stylistically I didn't care for. There were some phrases that were used that were, in my opinion, a little cringy and probably won't age well in like 5-10 years. If somebody were to read this, they'd be like, ooh, I don't know about that. Kind of meme-y phrasing. Also, they used the same expression twice, like 2 chapters apart, and it was a weird one to use. But other than that, like, it was good. The issues that, like, I had with it because of my personal experiences. The love interest name is Alex. I have a weird history with Alex's. So that was interesting. The whole idea of like this guy that you're close to and it's somebody you're actually secretly romantically interested in, or they're secretly romantically interested in you. It's as a trope, first off. It's kind of hit or miss for me because I do think I so fundamentally believe that men and women can be friends without it being romantic. So when you have so many books like this that are like secretly, you know, there is a thing there that bugs me, but also specifically there are certain vibes in here that reminded me specifically of some of my friends. And it was a little uncomfortable at times to read for me because we're not getting into it. But those are all personal things to me that wouldn't affect most people, hopefully. But other than that, I enjoyed this. I thought it was cute. I thought it was really sweet. I expected it to be cute and sweet, but I don't know. I didn't expect to actually be kind of emotionally invested in it. It gave me rom-com vibes, but more emotionally impactful, if that makes sense. So I had a fun time with this. Great start to see our YouTube #1 book of 2021 being such a hit with me, but also just like good that the first romance I've read this year has been a big hit with me. That's a good sign for the rest of this year. Overall, I gave it a 3.88 out of 5. The two big things that took it down: the writing style, and the characters weren't super deep. They were cliche is not the right word here, but they were like just quirky enough, and their character traits were more quirkiness than actual character traits, if that makes sense. So those were the two things that I kind of got taken down on, but like I loved it. I loved the use of the different settings. I liked the back and forth format of like, this is what's going on today, this is what happened in the past. Yeah, I really liked it, and I think this was a great start. So we'll see if the rest of this goes well, and also if romance keeps going well for me, because I don't know, I had Beach Read already on my want to read, so like maybe I had to check that one out, bump that up a little higher. Also, maybe this is, I don't know. For some reason, I am associating Emily Henry so heavily with Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I don't know if they have anything in common. I don't know why they're like connected in my mind. But like this to me made me feel a lot better about Taylor Jenkins Reid, who is an author I've never been interested in reading. So there's that. That is it. And thank you for watching. That's not the whole video. I don't know why I'm trying to do an outro like we're about. See you in a bit. Alright, In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. What did I think of this book? Alright, I really liked this book. I wasn't sure. This was, quite frankly, all of these books I was a bit skeptical of, just because most of them were out of my comfort zone. And this one, it's I haven't really had much success with mysteries, and the setting, the idea of like college reunion didn't really appeal to me, and it ended up being a remarkably good fit. Some of the things I really liked about this, it is an unreliable narrator, but it's probably the best I've seen this done because it doesn't make a secret of that. We know right away that Jessica, one, has an agenda of her own, and two, doesn't know everything that's going on. So it really makes an interesting story through line, because you know she's unreliable, and that really makes it a lot tenser than you would expect. It's not like there's this twist at the end, like, I was lying to the reader the whole time, like, you know. So that was really interesting. I did guess pretty quickly who did it, but not necessarily because the book set it up. The book does a good job that like once it's revealed, you see all the hints earlier on. It wasn't like I guessed it because I deduced it from what the book did. It was more just me thinking, who is one, who the reader would least likely think it is, and two, who would the characters least likely think it is. I don't know if that's a spoiler. No, I don't think it is. And that kind of gave it away for me, but not in like a bad way, just in a like, oh, I know what's going on and I can't wait for this reveal kind of way. And I was still totally ready to be wrong and the whole time, which was fun. My other issue with it, before I get into my other issue, let me like kind of rewind and tell you what this book is about, because that'll kind of preface what I'm saying. This is about Jessica, who when she was in college was part of the East House 7, which was this group of 7 college kids, herself, her partner, her boyfriend, her best friend, her roommate, her best friend's boyfriend, and 2 other guys. And they're just like kind of infamous on campus. I would say more infamous than famous, despite what Jessica kind of thinks of it. And that definitely is colored by my own interpretation of college, where like the people like these characters were the ones everybody actually kind of secretly hated, like the frat bros that were partying and the sorority sisters that thought they were better than everyone. Like these were the people we all kind of hated. So that could just be colored by my. But then senior year, one of their friends is brutally murdered, and one of the other ones, the group, was kind of the one that took the fall for it. Now, he wasn't arrested, the police can never prove it was him, but that's who they all think it is. And the book takes place 10 years later at their 10-year reunion, graduation reunion, and it's them kind of getting sucked back in and trying to figure out who really did it. My problem with this, and this could be because I'm not 32, and so I don't realistically know what 32-year-olds are like, but it felt unrealistic for Jess, and mostly Jess, but even some of the other characters, to be acting the way they were for 32. And this may have been intentional, but that was something that I think kind of just rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. Was like, people don't still act like that when they're 32. She was acting like an 18, 20-year-old, not a 32-year-old. In my mind, but again, I don't know, maybe 32-year-olds are that messy. I don't know. So that was kind of the one thing. But really, these are like small complaints, all things considered. I enjoyed it mostly. The ending I did not like. There was a really good reveal. There was this really great climax. And then the falling action just went on for so long. What it kind of does is my interest was in the mystery of who killed Heather. But there's also this mystery of, how do I say this? There's also the mystery of like what Jessica was up to that night, right? And like, obviously the two are related. But after the reveal of who killed Heather, there's still a gap in Jessica's night. And the book tries to keep us interested in filling in what that gap was. And I just wasn't that interested in that gap. And I think that's what kind of, there's like a good, I don't know how many pages, because good like 10%, 8, 9, 10% of the book that's like trying to keep us interested with that gap, and I just wasn't that interested in that. So like the falling action kind of fell short for me. All in all though, it's a good book. I gave it 4 5/100 out of 5 on my rating system. I really liked it, and so far this video is not going the way I expected. But 2, maybe 3 books. I gotta be honest, I don't know if I'm gonna read The Love Hypothesis for this, because the hold on it is like 6 months. So might just do a Taylor Jenkins read and get a Life Chloe Brown and call it there, because I don't know if I'm gonna get Love Hypothesis. We'll see. Not me making you sit with me in my kitchen as if I'm not just waiting for water to boil and drinking wine. And this is tea berry wine from King Cole Winery, which is, I don't think I could get any more Pennsylvania than that. Anyway, let's get to the point. I did not read this video, or this book for this video. At least the intent was not for this video. But I got thinking about it and I thought, why can't this book be for this video? And of course I'm talking about Jade City by Fonda Lee. And Jade Legacy was the third, just move that out of the way. Jade Legacy was the third favorite book of 2021 of BookTube. And I thought, well, I know I'm gonna read Jade City soon, but there's no way I'm gonna get to Jade Legacy in time for this video. And I don't know why I thought that mattered. Because here's the thing. In this, I'm literally allowing myself to get a Life Chloe Brown instead of whatever the most recent one is. Or, you know, any Taylor Jenkins read. So I don't know why I thought I needed to read Jade Legacy. But here we are. So I read Jade City. And I loved it. I don't know off the top of my head the exact rating I got. If I remember, I'll pop it in on top of the cover here so you know. But this was... I put this book off for a very, very, very long time. And the reason being was because whenever people describe it, they focus on, it's about these crime families and this drug you do that makes you do magic. And it's like, that doesn't interest me, you know? Organized crime, gangs, not really a thing I like. Urban fantasy, not really a thing I'm typically into. It just, none of that appealed to me. People tried to sell it then, but like, well, it's really about the family dynamics. And it's like, okay, but that felt like an afterthought. Well, the thing is, it really is about the family dynamics. The thing that really captured me about this book were 2 things. One was the character work. It was fantastic characters. I mean, they're all psychopaths, and I love them. Not all of them. Hilo is, and anyway, they're all fantastic. So the characters are what really sold me on it, especially early on, because this was a very, very slow start. Like, I got this as a loan from the library, and I only got it for 7 days because Westchester County Library System only gives you 7 days with digital loans, which is insane. And in that 7 days, I think I got about 20% into it. And then it returned because there's a huge wait list for this, because this is a popular series. And I almost didn't renew the loan. Okay, so like I was saying, I almost didn't renew the loan. two things kind of stopped me. One, I had managed to get just far enough to be intrigued by the characters. And I want to make that perfectly clear. At this point in the story, I didn't care about the story. I was just concerned for the characters. I wanted to know they were going to be okay. I just really was hoping they would be okay. The other thing was having Rid's Discord server to talk about it in, because they all really loved it and I really wanted to share that enthusiasm with them. So that's why I put the renew back in. Now, once I picked it back up, that 7 days, I was like, I'm finishing this in 7 days, and it wasn't hard. I was super excited to finish it at that point. So it's a slow start. The other thing is it's got this kind of cyclical plot structure, where your typical plot is like rising, inciting incident, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution. This has that like 8 times. Okay, I'm exaggerating, like 3 or 4 times. And the problem that I had with, for the most part, this was really good. The rising action, I was getting excited and hyped and super into it, and then the climaxes were never what I expected them to be. But then that falling action, I found myself losing interest every time, and I had to like reignite that interest. I had to get far enough that I was into the next climbing action, or I could have easily put it down at any of those points. So I do want to say, like, if you're reading it and struggling with it, if you're unsure, stick with it, give it a shot, because it's really good. It's really, really good. Poor baby Andon. I would do anything for Andon. Andon and Shay own me. Alright, I'll be back with another book later. I really want to make my camera sitting on there work, and I don't know if it is. Hopefully, I can't see myself in the viewfinder. Hopefully I don't look terrible right now. I finished Get a Life, Chloe Brown. That's what we're really here to talk about. I loved it. I liked it a lot. It ended up getting a 3.75 out of 5, which seems like a low rating, which I think has a lot to do with our expectations. Like, it's so interesting to me that, like, 3.75 to a 4.0 is such a small difference, but, like, it feels so different. Anyway, that's really neither here nor there. This was cute. So this is, if you're not aware, which I don't think there's a person alive that isn't aware. This is about Chloe Brown, who is a youngish woman, 31-year-old woman, who has fibromyalgia, and she has a near-death experience, and it makes her want to live her life. She's embarrassed by how boring her life has been, and so she creates a bucket list of things she wants to accomplish. And it's about Red, who is the superintendent of Chloe's building and also an artist who also is dealing with his own stuff and trying to figure things out. And these two obviously meet and instantly hate each other. And then it goes from there. This is super cute. It was really, really cute. And that's really the most I can say about it. I liked it. Now, I think in the moment, I liked this a lot more than people we meet on vacation, but this got a lower rating, and I think the main reason it did is because I didn't love Talia Hibbert's writing style. In particular, there were things that felt a little fake. Particularly dialogue was awkward, and I think the thing about it is I had to like double check that she was British a couple times because I thought she was. But then every once in a while there'd be a phrase used in a way that didn't feel authentic. And I know that sounds really stupid. I'm an American. I don't know what British people actually sound like or talk like. But it's just how it felt. It felt a little forced. And so that was kind of bugging me. The other thing, that was really it. And the other thing is towards the end, of course, you have your third act conflict because it's a romance. I felt like that was solved a little too easily. The third act conflict was like, vague spoilers, I'll put it on the screen. I will tell you, skip ahead a few minutes. Excuse me, I'll try to remember to put it down in the timestamps. The third act conflict in this is Red gets triggered by something he overhears from Chloe. And so he starts having a panic attack that leads to him wanting to leave. She kind of realizes she has the ability to hurt him and that he can hurt her, and she decides she's done with it. And that's fine. But it seemed to be like
Red goes to therapy like twice, and it's like magically he's better. Not better. Like I don't think. Oh gosh, I think my battery's almost dead. Not like he is fine, but it's like he starts showing a lot of improvements. And then the other thing that it seems to imply is that this is never going to be a problem again. Like, and not to get too personal, but I know from personal experience that's not how that works. Like, she's not going to be able to magically learn all of his triggers and never do them again. He probably doesn't even know all of his triggers. And so, that to me was just a little too neat and clean, but I realized it's a rom-com. It's not supposed to be complicated, but I liked it. I'm definitely going to keep reading the rest of this Brown Sisters series, so I'm excited for those. And I think I'll read one more book for this video, and then I'll be done.
All right, and the last book of this video, I finished The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I don't know how to talk about this. Like, I have my rating sheet open, but I cannot find ways to plug numbers into that because I feel like I did not like this book, but it is not a bad book. So let me start with what I do like. I did not mean for that to be... It's not bad. It just very much was not for me. I think Evelyn was an interesting character. I really like her. I like her family dynamics. I like the relationship she has with Harry and the complexities there and the complexities of the relationship with her daughter. I think that basically covers what I liked in this. I did not care at all about Monique and her story. I thought I didn't like the writing style. One thing I have a problem with is any of these stories that are somebody telling somebody a story, right? I don't know if the parts about Evelyn's life, are they what she's telling to Monique or are they the book Monique's writing, right? It's one or the other. I assume it's what she's telling to Monique, and she goes into way more detail than anybody would. Like, if I'm sitting down with my grandmother and she's telling me the story of her life, she's not going to spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes talking about the first time she has sex with someone. Like, it just felt really inauthentic and uncomfortable even. Like, the idea of imagining this conversation happening was uncomfortable. There are, I would say, 3 twists throughout this. The first one is one I knew about. It happens about halfway through. I don't think it's meant to necessarily be a twist. It might even be in the synopsis. I don't know. Gosh, I haven't even talked about this. This book... Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is about Evelyn Hugo, who's a starlet from the golden age of television, and she's been married 7 times. And since her retirement from acting, she's been very reclusive, hasn't really talked to anybody. And now she is auctioning off a bunch of her dresses to benefit breast cancer awareness or breast cancer research, one or the other. And has agreed to do an interview with this one specific, very unknown journalist. And we're getting her story, but we're also figuring out why she wanted this journalist. So the first twist is one I knew. The second twist is why she's doing this with this specific journalist. And like I said, I didn't care about Monique's story at all, so I didn't really care about this twist. And then the twist at the end did not surprise me at all. I don't know if it was meant to be a twist. Maybe we were supposed to figure out what was happening there, in which case, like, it did what it needed to do. But I wasn't surprised by it. It was, I picked up on that literally from, like, the first chapter or 2 where, like, Evelyn's like, you can publish this after I die, which was like... Anyway, so I didn't care for the writing style outside of that. I do like the narration in this. I like the switching narrator between the present and the past. I really liked that, but, like, the writing style didn't do anything for me. In the sections about Monique and her thing, it was just very straightforward. Here's the information. Very boring. And then the sections in the past with Evelyn Hugo, again, I would have liked it a lot more if this was just Evelyn Hugo's story, right? If we were just not in first person and third person, getting the, like, rise of her stardom, all of that, I would have liked it a lot more. Having it be framed in this her telling her story made it not work for me. I did like the little snippets of newspaper articles we got in between. That was cute. Or magazine articles in between. That was cute. Yeah. My other major issue with this, besides the writing and how little I cared about Monique, was I did not care for the way it trivialized a lot of the flaws of Hollywood. So it really hyper fixates on, how do I say this? It fixates on how queer people are viewed, were viewed, still are to a large extent. And those issues that, like, if you were a woman, you had to be sexually available to men in order to be viewed as, you know, somebody that could become a viable celebrity, right? It talks about that. What it doesn't talk about, or what it feels like it trivializes to me, are the things like abuse that happens. Like, it's just kind of brushed off as, that's a thing that happens, and if you can't handle that, then you're not cut out for this. Or it really kind of skirts around the idea of, like, sexual assault that happens within Hollywood. Like, it skirts that line of, like, it's a thing that happens, we're not going to talk about it. And so to me, it felt like it was really ignoring and trivializing a lot of things. It talks about, it like mentioned AIDS for like 30 seconds and then moved on from it. And so it just felt like it wanted to be shocking and exciting, but didn't actually want to examine the things going on, if that made sense. So I don't have a rating for this yet because, like I said, I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to put in my spreadsheet. Based on feelings, if I had been rating this the way I used to rate books, this would be somewhere between a 2 and a 3. I'm going to go ahead, plug things in, see what it comes out to, and then I will wrap this video up after that. Alright, here I am with my hot cider to wrap up this video. Just to finalize things, 7.5. 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo got a 2.98 on my rating scale. Alright, so if we order these books, so I read 5 books for this video. People We Meet on Vacation, which was the #1 rated book on my list. In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, which was in the top 5. Jade City, which was not in the top 10. One person did have it on their list, but Jade Legacy was the #3 book. Get a Life, Chloe Brown, which again wasn't on the list. One person did have it listed as their favorite from 2021, but the latest one, Act Your Age, Eve Brown, was in the top 10. And the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which while it wasn't the most highly rated book from Taylor Jenkins Reid on my list, it was still in the top 10. I didn't read The Love Hypothesis, guys. One, I didn't really want to, and despite what I said, I do want to enjoy the books I read for these videos. Also, the loan was gonna take like months to get in at my library, and it just wasn't worth the wait. I wanted to get this out at least in the first quarter of the year, and I'm barely doing that, so we're gonna go with what I had. So if I put these in order from just by rating, 7.5, 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is the bottom, followed by Get a Life, Chloe Brown, by a large margin. It goes from, so 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is 2.98, Get a Life, Chloe Brown, 3.75, People We Meet on Vacation, 3.88, In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, 4.05, and then Jade City at 4.45. The only thing I think I would change about this, just based on my feelings right now, is I would put Get a Life, Chloe Brown above People We Meet on Vacation, just because that was something I read very early in this year and it hasn't really stuck with me. And maybe even In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, because that's another one that over time it hasn't really stuck with me. That said, Get a Life, Chloe Brown is one of the more recent books I've read, and it has just been in the forefront of my mind because it's so recent, so maybe in another month or two I wouldn't feel as strongly about that either. Jade City, absolutely love. I just finished Jade War and it's even better, so I can confidently say that Jade Legacy almost definitely deserves its place at the top of this list. I would also say I would not put People We Meet at Vacation as like the best book, but I do see why it's there. I see why In My Dreams I Hold a Knife would be there. I can see why Get a Life, Chloe Brown would be. And here's the thing, like I said, 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo just didn't work for me, but I can understand why some people like it. I think there's a lot of issues it just didn't address, like the way it just like skirts around so many issues where it can like plop them in enough to say we had that, but then like skirt around it. Racism, predation. Just really, really is amazing. So, what did I learn from this video? Nothing. Nothing in particular. I guess what I learned is maybe I can trust books that are popular. I shouldn't be so afraid of picking up a book to read just because it's popular, which is a thing that kind of happens. Sometimes I'm like, man, so many people like it. It's probably not actually good, or it's not my taste. I think that's some of that toxic behaviors left over from my middle school days where I just couldn't like the things everybody else liked. And now I guess this is definitive proof that sometimes I can like the things other people like. I do think there is a tendency on BookTube to lean towards contemporaries. So, you know, Seven Husbands is historical fiction, but it's contemporary. People We Meet on Vacation, In My Dreams, Get a Life are all contemporary. So not getting so much into fantasy or sci-fi, just based on a broad picking of things. Now, if I had focused only on the people I'm subscribed to, that would look very differently, obviously. Yeah, I had fun with this. I am definitely going to keep reading Talia Hibbert. I just started Take a Hint, Danny Brown today. I'm going to finish the Greenbone Saga. I'm going to try Emily Henry again. I've wanted to read Beach Read for a while, and I'm really curious about that. The author of In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife. I don't know if I'll read more from her. Maybe if I see something that she's not off my list. I don't think I need to read any more Taylor Jenkins Reid. Part of my issue with it was the writing style, and so I don't feel the need to give her another shot. Maybe. Anyway, let me know down below what was your favorite read of 2021 that you think maybe I would enjoy, or which one of these books you think I enjoy. Yeah, give this video a like if you liked it, and please hit the subscribe button so you can see more from me. Alright, I'll see you next time. Bye!